The ultimate fishing experience is brought to you by Lund Boats. This week on the ultimate fishing experience, we're traveling to walleye mecca Lake Erie. This massive body of water holds untold numbers of true giants for anglers in the know. But it wasn't always that way. By the mid-1900s, pollution and overharvest had reduced Lake Erie's walleye population to historically low levels. Since then, clean water regulations and reduced commercial harvest have allowed the walleye population to rebound, going from practically non-existent to providing one of the top trophy destinations in the world.
It's a good start to the day. Yeah.
And to unlock the big lake secrets, who better to tag along with than longtime professional walleye angler Mark Brumbaugh and Great Lakes fisheries specialist Travis Hartman. These two hardcore trolling fanatics will show you what it takes to put walleye tonnage in the boat. So it's time to fire up the kicker, put out those planer boards, and troll, troll, troll. Climb aboard. We've got lots of water to cover.
That's a big Lake Erie walleye.
I should say so. That is what we're looking for right there.
Awesome. Looking forward today. Ought to be a good day. We're going to meet up with Travis here at the boat ramp, Travis Hartman, and go out and have a good day of fishing. We're at Lake Erie. It's mid-May. The fish are done spawning. The fish are migrating back. Some of them are already through, but there's a pretty good bite around Kelly's. But we'll probably start out with night crawlers, harnesses with the inlines, and then we might even try some crankbaits. Maybe if we don't catch any big ones, maybe we'll switch to crankbaits for some bigger fish. But this time of the year, they can be from the bottom to the surface. So you just have to keep playing around till you figure out where the active fish are, and once you key in on that, the day is good.
All right, we're here around the island area of the western basin of Lake Erie. This is Kelly's Island right here. And this has always kind of been the walleye capital of the world here for the last few decades. We came through the 50s and 60s were a pretty rough time for the system, like a lot of other systems that had industrial plants around the watershed. But then the Clean Water Act in the 70s really went a long way to reduce nutrients coming into the lake, clean up the watershed, clean up the lake itself, and the walleye rebounded immediately. Recent years, we haven't had any giant year classes, but we're back to getting a little more stable reproduction where we're getting something from each year, which is really encouraging. So we have some small fish that hang around the western basin, the younger fish that get caught all summer, and we have the big migrating fish that head east and fuel those fisheries. It's a really neat system that changes every year, and it's a lot of fun to work on it and fish on it and take advantage of this great walleye resource. Mark, here in Ohio, we're allowed 2 per angler, and we got our 4, but we got a couple cameramen on board, so we might as well take advantage of the licenses and go ahead and get a couple extra rods out, huh? So starting in the mid to late 90s are when planer boards really became popular on Lake Erie, and tournament pros that came here to Lake Erie and used the boards really showed the Lake Erie anglers how valuable they are. You can see in a spread like this, one of the most important values of planer boards is getting lines away from the boat. It's to get out to the open water fish that might have spooked from the boat. but also to get lines away from each other so you don't have multiple lines getting tangled, running them right off the corners of the boat. So in a spread like this, we have 4 planer boards out that have lines that are fishing in the middle or upper part of the water column, and then we can throw in 2 bottom bouncers at the corners and get down to the bottom and not have the lines interfere with each other. But it adds a whole lot of versatility to fishing more lines and really targeting open water fish.
Looks like a nicer fish.
Yeah, this might not be too bad, Mark. That didn't take long at all.
Ooh!
He didn't like that, did he?
He didn't like that. He didn't know he was hooked till right then. All right. There we go.
There we go. Bottom bouncer fish to start the day
Good
off.
way to start today. All right, well, that just goes to show you that you never know for sure where they're going to be, you know. How long have we been fishing? 10 minutes?
Yeah,
and
5 to 10 minutes.
We started seeing a bunch of fish on the bottom. We dropped a bottom bouncer down there, no sooner set in a rod holder and caught one already. So it's a good start to the day.
Yeah.
Closed captioning brought to you by Mercury Marine, #1 on the water.
Oh, there we got one going. Ooh, yeah. We gotta look when we bring it in, but I think I dropped that back like 60 or so.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Deeper lead.
$65 back.
65 back.
On
Need a little time to net.
All right, we're 44, 35.
The weight.
Man, they fight hard for this size.
Yeah, they're finally hitting the water temp that even these smaller fish are fighting pretty good.
All right, the rig we're using today is a crawler harness, and I tie my own. Now when I'm fishing on the Great Lakes for big fish, I use 20-pound test. It's a 20-pound Berkeley XT. The reason I really went to the heavier line is when you get a fish in the net and he gets one of the hooks in the net, one of them's in him, and he throws his head, he'd always break my leaders. I snell 3 number 2s or number 1s, these are number 2s, on there, spread them out for the bigger crawlers. Then the beads, you want to have enough beads so your blade does not get into your front hook. With a blade, with a quick change clevis, allows you to change blades. If I want to change the color of blade, it's just that simple. I can size or color. And then in front of that, I tie them roughly about 6 feet long. The next thing would be the weight. And then the line to my main rod is a 10-pound Berkeley XT. I like an 8.5 foot medium rod. The longer, softer rods work like a shock absorber. It's more forgiving when the fish come up and make a hard run. And the other thing is line counters. The reason line counters are so important, so I caught this last fish at 65 feet. So now I want to be able to reproduce what I was doing when I caught that fish. If you don't have a line counter or some way of metering your line out, you're not going to know exactly where you were when you caught that fish. Now we're going to attach the offshore planer board. This one has a tattletale flag. And what it helps you do is, especially pulling spinners, it lets you determine light biters. With the tattletale kit, comes with 2 of the OR16 clips that have a red pin in them. So as long as you get your line in behind that red pin, the board will not come off. So I put it in that front one. That one's from the rod to the front of the board. And then from the spinner, or your crankbait or whatever you're using to the back flag or back clip. And the whole idea is if you get a bite, the flag will go down. If you don't put some slack in between these two clips, the flag won't work because there's no give. You know, if it pulls, it'll just pull the whole board. So now then we just drop it in the water. And this one is for the right board. There's right and left. So this one is going to go out on the right side. I slowly let it back, and I usually just put the clicker on and let as your boat's moving forward, it'll pull it out and it goes back. I always run the longer leads, usually on the outside, my shorter leads on the inside. So the inside, when we got that one back 25 feet with a 2-ounce guppy, and this one's gonna be 65 feet back with a number 2 tadpole. This is a guppy. You attach your line to the top hole, and then you come off the back with your crawler harness. You know, the farther out you let it, the farther down it's gonna go. This is a 2-ounce. They make them up to, I think, 3-ounce and down to 1/2 ounce. So depending on where at in the water column you're trying to fish, you could just change depths or change your leader length. Now the other one is a tadpole, which is kind of like a crankbait. It actually, you attach your crawler harness on behind it, and you attach your main line from your rod to this one. So as you let it out, it's diving like a crankbait, and then when a fish hits it, it trips, and then you're not fighting the weight, you bring it up. So those are the two differences between them. And the biggest thing is behind, you know, if we're pulling crankbaits, they have a bill that as you pull it, it makes it pull deeper. Where a crawler harness, there is no, it just has resistance. So you have to have some kind of a weight system or diving system in front of it to get it down to where the fish are.
So the other weight system we're using today is a standard bottom bouncer. This happens to be a 3-ounce bouncer. Of course, it has a long wire arm on it, and then you use a snap to attach to the corner of the bouncer, and then the harness is right here off the back of the bouncer. And the advantage of the bottom bouncers is you can run them right off the corner of the boat, and we're trying to get them right down near the bottom, either on the bottom or within a few feet of the bottom. And we're looking for those fish that we're seeing on the sonar that are sitting right down near the bottom. So there's one more option you have, especially when you want to get extra rods out and you don't need planer boards or anything fancy to catch big walleye off the bottom.
We'll know when we see the weight. Hey, we're gonna have a double. There we go. All right, you take care of that one. I'll grab this one.
All right, I got that, Mark.
Hey, my side of the boat is on fire today.
Yep, definitely on Captain's Day. You may get that, Mark, or you got it?
I can get it. I'll just show them how I take it off by myself. All right. A lot of times I fish, you know, by ourselves or we're having a double, so I just leave enough length in the line. That's another reason I like to have a long rod. Just slowly bring it up to me. Just take the back clip off in the front, but I bring the line so that it's not creating slack. Dropping that down. Make it slow and easy and steady. There we go. Oh, we just another one of the same.
It's a nice Lake Erie double,
yeah.
Huh? This is what happens on open water when you get in a good school of active fish. A lot of times they come in 2s and 3s. It's a whole lot of fun. Now this one's doing what we like him to. The board's sitting straight up in the air. back down in the water, and it's pulling pretty
Pulling
hard.
Hey, I'm gonna save a waypoint. I'll push the inner.
Yeah, it's done all the right things so far.
Yep, they stay down. I like it when they come in and are like right down, the line's going that way. Like this one. All right. Okay.
That was 30 feet on the tadpole.
Oh, hey, let's get. There we go.
It's a little better
There's
one.
A little better. Nicer one.
Oh, we have some eaters in the live well for dinner.
We got good eaters in the live well. Let's let that bigger one back and let her grow up a little bigger.
Yeah, maybe we'll catch her in a few years when she's 10 or 11 pounds.
Yeah, when we need her for a tournament. All right, Travis, I'm gonna save that waypoint where you caught that biggest one, and we can go back to it. If we get a fish on, I push the event marker button once. So then we fight the fish and bring it in. Well, if it's a walleye, then you can go back and save it. If it's a sheephead, you go back and cancel it. But when you do that, it will save that waypoint where you pushed the event button. So now we'll hit save. So now that waypoint is back where we caught that fish. Because otherwise, if, you know, by the time we seen the fish get on, reeled it in, we're moving at 1.2, 1.3 mile an hour, you might be 300-400 yards away, and you're not going to get back to where you might not get back to where the active fish are. When we're out here trolling, speed is pretty critical. I mean, it can be the difference between, you know, catching fish and not catching fish. So with crawler harnesses, probably between 1 and 1.3, 1.4. With crankbaits, early in the year it might be 1, and then in the middle of the summer when it gets warm it might be 2.5. I'm constantly watching my Lowrance speed on the GPS and watching how my rods are depending on the current, so I can speed up and slow down. And I do a lot of, you know, without even realizing, I do a lot of zigzagging, because zigzagging will create speeding up and slowing down of the baits on each side of the boat. People don't realize how much walleyes follow your baits. So if you just slow down or speed up a little bit, a lot of times that'll trigger a bite.
You got one on your outside there, Mark.
Got one on the outside. See, I just changed the speed a little bit, slowed this side of the boat down, and we triggered a bite.
That looks like a good bite right there.
That looks like a good fish. But sometimes even when I'm, here Travis, I'll let you reel and I'll run the boat. We're actually trolling, a lot of times I like to troll with the wind, but right now we found some fish over here and I'm actually going into the wind. So you have to drive the boat a little bit more, but there's been times, like if it's really rough, I'll run the big motor with the SmartCraft gauges, and then I control the speed with just speeding up or slowing down the big engine with the SmartCraft gauges. It is an awesome tool also. I really do like trolling with the kicker motor, the Pro Kicker 9.9. You know, this is a sweet motor. It's easy to steer. And the other reason I like running it is it has an alternator on it, so when we're, you know, have live well or fishing a live well, I watch my amperage on the electronics, so I know that I'm always charging the battery. There's some days we come out here and we shut down the big engine and we'll run the kicker all day long, so you never start it back up, especially on nice days like this. Okay, I'll get the net. Hey. There we go.
I think we've pretty well nailed down those lower 20-inch fish today.
Yeah.
We gonna make the big switch?
Yep. Make a couple passes through here with crankbaits. We're pulling spinners through these fish, and they're not really real aggressive. So we're gonna give it a shot with crankbaits and come by them a little faster and get more of a reaction bite. Typically, if we can get them going on crankbaits, they're gonna be bigger.
With the crankbait like a reef runner that isn't weighted, the depth that it dives to is directly related to how much line you put out. So with the inline weights and the harnesses, we were only putting out 30, 35, 40 feet of line, and we were controlling depth with our speed. With the reef runners, we're letting out anywhere from 80 to 150 feet of line before we put the board on. We're getting down into the 20 to 30 foot range with the crankbaits, but it takes a little more line because the amount of line is what gets it down to that depth. Especially a reef runner at a little higher speed, if you see a board go back at all, if you know you're getting hit, you pick it up right away and get pressure on it, because you're not relying on them eating up a worm to get hooked. If you see the board move, they're already hooked, and you've got to get pressure on it so you don't lose it. Well, Mark, I think it's pretty fair to say we both agree this is a great big water, Great Lake style boat, isn't it?
Yeah, yes it is. It was designed by tournament anglers, and you know, we fish all different sizes, Great Lakes, big Canadian lakes, but it has a lot of nice features, you know, for fishing, all around fishing.
We do a lot of trolling, obviously. It has this big open back deck that have plenty of room to walk around, but it still has the big front deck when you decide to jig or cast, maybe fish for smallmouth or muskie. It really has features for whatever way you fish. There you go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Oh!
Double?
Double!
I think that one's trying to swim back to the Bass Islands.
Oh, yes.
You know, earlier it'd been pretty easy to give up on this spot as far as big fish and move on and do something totally different, but if that board's any indicator, it looks like changing the crankbaits and sticking it out here was the right choice.
Yeah, we've caught in, overall the fish we've caught on the crankbait so far have been bigger.
Yeah, definitely had a larger average size on the crankbaits.
Feels good.
Looks good.
This is a good one. 2018. Ooh, big head shake.
Big head shake.
7. Oh.
That's what I'm looking for.
There it is. All right.
Got
Good
it?
job,
Yeah.
Mark. There we go. Now we're talking. All right. There we go. Lake Erie at its finest.
There's the big fish we've been looking for today.
That's what we come after. Caught a lot of fish.
Yep, stayed at it and found the bigger bite finally on
Finally got a
crankbaits.
good bite.
That was really neat how they both hit at the same time. Had a double there.
Yep. Now that's a big Lake Erie crankbait walleye.
Thanks for joining us. If you'd like more information, check out lundboats.com or these other online outlets.